What the average uneducated consumer, blinded by flashing neon logos, judges to be just another generic budget-friendly fast fashion stop in a crowded mall is, in pure, cold, and undeniable economic reality, a massive, relentless technology and materials engineering conglomerate that has perfectly disguised itself as a retailer of basic garments. There is a brutal, cowardly, and highly profitable psychological trap orchestrated globally by the apparel industry, meticulously designed to make your brain associate exorbitant price tags, useless complexity, and designer logos with a false sense of superior quality, when in fact, you are simply funding the artificial scarcity of volatile trends and paying the invoice for someone else's multi-million-dollar advertising budgets. Therefore, if you still blindly believe, driven by vanity or misinformation, that buying a luxury-labeled T-shirt guarantees any real structural fabric integrity, or that paying a massive 600% markup is the only acceptable path to wearing premium garments, prepare yourself right now to be confronted by the relentless chemical science and the unassailable financial math that will prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that your current wardrobe is an absolute black hole of wasted money. Why does an exclusive, multi-decade alliance with Japanese molecular scientists, the exact same minds responsible for forging aerospace-grade carbon fiber, allow minimalist, $20 basics to completely annihilate the thermal performance and practical utility of heavy, uncomfortable, and outrageously expensive luxury layers? How does the absolute, aggressive monopolization of raw American Supima cotton and the surgical utilization of traditional Japanese shuttle looms manage to unmask and expose to ridicule the greed of famous heritage brands that routinely charge $300 for the exact same raw fabric? And what is the relentless, mathematical metric of the cost per wear calculus that you must rigorously and non-negotiably adopt from this day forward to break the vicious cycle of disposable clothing and transform your wardrobe into a powerful portfolio of industrial precision investments? To understand the surgical mechanics of this silent revolution, we must completely ignore the superficial illusion of the fashion world and dive straight into the advanced chemical laboratories and the supply chain infrastructure of Asia. Walk into a crowded mall on a Saturday afternoon, past the high-end designer boutiques flashing neon logos, past the mid-tier department stores struggling to clear their seasonal stock, and look at the line forming outside Uniqlo. To the uneducated observer, this is just another fast fashion stop. The average man looks at the walls of neatly folded T-shirts, the racks of plain socks, and the lightweight jackets, and concludes that Uniqlo is simply a budget brand for basic essentials. He groups it in his mind with H&M, Zara, or Gap. He assumes that because a T-shirt costs $20, it must be stitched from short staple commodity cotton and engineered to last a single summer. That assumption is a monumental financial mistake. It is a failure to understand that Uniqlo is not a fashion company at all. It is a technology conglomerate disguised as a clothing retailer. The global apparel industry operates on an old, highly profitable psychological trick. They want you to believe that complexity and high prices equal quality. They design highly volatile, trend-driven garments to create artificial scarcity, charge you a 600% markup for a designer label, and use a massive advertising budget to validate the expense. Uniqlo's parent company fast retailing operates on the exact opposite mathematical model. They do not chase runway trends. They do not pay multi-million-dollar celebrity ambassador contracts. And they do not redesign their inventory every 3 weeks. Instead, they treat clothing as a manufacturing optimization problem. They invest hundreds of millions of dollars into textile engineering laboratories to create proprietary fabrics that other fashion houses lack the scientific capacity to develop. By the end of this video, you will understand the exact supply chain mechanics and material specs that make Uniqlo an absolute gold mine for the educated consumer, and why their $20 basics routinely outperform luxury garments, charging 4 times the price. To understand the gold mine hidden on Uniqlo's shelves, you have to look at their corporate history and their manufacturing infrastructure. The company began as a small menswear shop in Yamaguchi, Japan in 1949 and launched the Uniqlo brand name in 1984. From the very beginning, the founder, Tadashi Yanai, rejected the traditional Western fashion model. He realized that the highest profit margins in retail were swallowed by middlemen, wholesale distributors, and real estate overhead. To eliminate these layers, Uniqlo adopted a vertically integrated model called SPA, controlling everything from initial fabric research to final factory output. But they took it a step further than their fast fashion competitors. While brands like Zara optimized their supply chain for speed, creating cheap clothes faster, Uniqlo optimized their supply chain for raw material quality at massive scale. The absolute core of Uniqlo's engineering advantage lies in their internal research institutes based in Tokyo and their exclusive, multi-decade partnership with Toray Industries. Toray is not a garment manufacturer. Toray Industries is a multi-billion-dollar Japanese chemical and textile science corporation that develops carbon fiber for aerospace engineering, high-performance membranes for water purification, and specialized synthetics for professional athletic use. When a standard fashion house wants to build a winter collection, they buy off-the-shelf fabrics from a generic wholesale catalog. When Uniqlo wants to build a winter collection, they task Toray's molecular scientists with engineering a completely new polymer structure from scratch. The most famous result of this chemical engineering is their heat-tech line. To the untrained eye, a heat-tech undershirt looks like a basic, thin polyester tee. The mechanical reality is a triumph of material science. Standard winter clothing insulates by using thick, heavy layers to trap air. Heat-tech insulates on a microscopic level, using 4 distinct types of specialized fibers: rayon, acrylic, polyurethane, and polyester. The rayon fibers are engineered to absorb the microscopic moisture droplets naturally emitted by the human skin. As the rayon absorbs this moisture, the kinetic energy of the water molecules is converted into pure thermal energy. The specialized acrylic fibers, which are micro-crimped to mimic the natural loft of fine cashmere, then trap that thermal energy in microscopic air pockets. The polyurethane provides high elastic recovery, and the polyester wicks excess moisture away to prevent chilling. Uniqlo created a high-efficiency thermal barrier that is less than a millimeter thick, allowing a man to discard heavy, bulky wool layers entirely. They sell this piece of advanced chemical engineering for less than $20. Now look at the opposite end of the seasonal spectrum, their Airism line. The average man believes that pure cotton is the ultimate fabric for hot weather. This is a biological fallacy. Cotton absorbs moisture efficiently, but it holds on to that moisture indefinitely, causing the fabric to become heavy, damp, and sticky against the skin. Airism is a synthetic masterpiece constructed from cupro and micropolyester fibers that are spun to a thickness of just 8 microns, which is roughly 1/12 the diameter of a human hair. This extreme fineness creates a capillary effect. The moment sweat leaves your skin, the microfibers instantly draw the moisture across a massive surface area on the exterior of the fabric, allowing it to evaporate in seconds. The fabric feels permanently cold to the touch because it optimizes thermal conductivity away from the body. Designer activewear brands charge $80 to $100 for moisture-wicking shirts built from generic, heavy polyesters. Uniqlo sells a superior microfiber technology for $15 because they manufacture it by the millions of yards in a continuous automated partnership with Terray. But the real disruption, the absolute pinnacle of value that exposes the greed of the luxury menswear market, is Uniqlo's Supima cotton t-shirt line. In 2026, a standard Supima cotton t-shirt from a heritage menswear label or a designer boutique retails for anywhere between $60 and $120. Uniqlo sells the exact same fabric grade for $19.90. Let us look at the raw data to understand why this pricing shouldn't be possible. As we have covered on this channel, Supima is a strictly protected trademark designation for extra-long staple cotton grown exclusively in the western and southwestern regions of the United States. Less than 1% of the entire global cotton yield meets the rigorous micron and millimeter length requirements to carry the Supima label. The extra-long fibers ensure the yarn is incredibly strong, smooth, and resistant to pilling, allowing the shirt to survive 50 to 100 wash cycles without losing its structural integrity. When you buy a $60 Supima shirt from a designer brand, the high price is required to cover the fashion house's heavy overhead, their low production volume, and their massive marketing margins. Uniqlo bypasses this entire economic structure through absolute procurement dominance. Fast retailing is the single largest buyer of raw American Supima cotton on the planet. They commit to purchasing massive, unprecedented percentages of the entire annual U.S. crop years in advance. Because they buy in such staggering industrial volumes, they secure a raw material cost per pound that traditional fashion brands cannot mathematically achieve. They take this premium raw material and process it through factories running under the strict supervision of Japanese Takumi masters. In Japanese manufacturing, a Takumi is an artisan who has dedicated a minimum of a quarter century to mastering a specific industrial craft. Uniqlo deploys these quality control experts directly to their partner factories in Vietnam, Bangladesh, and China. They do not manage the corporate finances. They oversee the machines. They calibrate the needle tension, inspect the dyeing baths, and ensure that the stitch consistency matches Japanese domestic standards before a single shipment leaves the dock. When you buy a Uniqlo Supima t-shirt for $20, you are receiving the absolute apex of global cotton biology, processed with industrial precision, completely stripped of the brand premium. Now let us run the forensic audit on Uniqlo's denim line, specifically their stretch selvage jeans. For the denim enthusiast, selvage denim is the holy grail. It refers to fabric woven on antique, slow-moving shuttle looms that self-terminate the edge of the fabric with a clean structural band, preventing unraveling and creating a dense, heavy fabric character that breaks in uniquely to the wearer's body. Premium heritage denim brands from Japan or the United States routinely charge $200 to $350 for a pair of raw selvage jeans. Uniqlo sells their selvage line for $49.90. The uneducated consumer looks at that $50 price tag and assumes it must be an imitation, a cheap counterfeit fabric stamped with a fake red selvage line. The laboratory reality is shocking. Uniqlo's selvage denim is sourced directly from Kaihara Mills in Hiroshima, Japan. Founded in 1893, Kaihara is universally recognized as one of the premier elite denim manufacturers on Earth. They supply the exact same raw denim fabric to high-end heritage labels charging $300 a pair. Uniqlo partners with Kaihara to weave denim on traditional shuttle looms, but they modify the traditional recipe by adding exactly 1% of specialized elastane to the cotton warp. This single percent provides modern flexibility without compromising the heavy, dense aesthetic of authentic Japanese selvage. How can Uniqlo sell a pair of Kaihara selvage jeans for $50 when other brands charge $300 for the exact same fabric source? It comes down to SKU optimization and production efficiency. A designer denim brand will manufacture 50 different washes, fits, and seasonal variations, producing only a few thousand units of each. This creates massive inventory waste and sky-high factory setup costs. Uniqlo manufactures only 2 or 3 core fits in a handful of classic, unchanging indigo washes. They run the Kaihara looms continuously month after month, producing hundreds of thousands of units of the exact same specification. The factory setup costs drop to zero. The raw material procurement costs drop to the absolute floor, and the savings are passed directly to the consumer. The only difference between a $200 heritage jean and a $50 Uniqlo jean is the complexity of the hand distressing and the logo on the leather patch. The raw fabric engineering is identical. This brings us to the ultimate metric of wardrobe evaluation, the cost per wear math. The modern retail market is designed to keep you trapped in a continuous loop of cheap replacement. You buy a $30 fast fashion shirt from a standard mall retailer. The short staple cotton pills after 5 washes, the single needle side seams twist because the fabric wasn't cut straight on the grain, and the collar stretches out into an unwearable shape. Within 6 months, the shirt is sitting in a landfill, and you are back at the mall spending another $30. You are trapped in an endless subscription to low-quality clothing. When you buy a Uniqlo basic, you are breaking that cycle because the underlying raw materials are engineered. The Supima cotton has the long staple length to resist pilling. The Heat-Tech has the Terray polymer stability, and the Kaihara denim has the structural weave density. The clothing survives the wash test. You can wash a Uniqlo Supima t-shirt 50 times, and the collar line will remain flat. The seams will remain aligned, and the fabric will retain its original density. If you pay $20 for a shirt and wear it 100 times, your cost per wear is exactly 20 cents. If you pay $80 for a designer shirt and wear it 4 times before it warps, your cost per wear is $20. The cheap, unbranded option backed by material science is mathematically the most lucrative financial investment a man can make for his daily wardrobe. What is the catch? Why isn't every single man on earth wearing Uniqlo exclusively? The answer comes down to the psychology of vanity. Uniqlo cuts their garments on clean, functional, and intentionally neutral blocks. They do not include visible branding, they do not embroider animals onto the chest, and they do not design silhouettes that shout for attention. To a consumer who relies on clothing to signal his wealth or his social status, Uniqlo feels completely invisible. It doesn't offer the immediate validation of a luxury logo. The fashion press quietly ignores Uniqlo's core lines because there is no drama to report, no seasonal controversy, and no inflated runway theater to cover. The company simply manufactures premium raw materials at industrial scale, day after day, year after year. The men who treat their wardrobe as a financial investment understand this reality completely. They stop paying the marketing invoice for a luxury name. They walk past the designer displays, they walk into Uniqlo, and they systematically build their baseline wardrobe from their engineered lines. They buy their stack of Supima tees, their Airism undergarments, and their Kaihara selvage denim. They let the raw materials do the work while keeping their cash in their bank accounts. They recognize that a logo is just an expensive sticker, designed to hide a lack of hidden construction. Apply the auditor's mindset to your shopping habits this week. Stop looking at the brand name on the storefront and start demanding the material specifications of the fabric. Turn the garment inside out. Read the fiber origin. Inspect the stitch consistency and ask yourself exactly what your money is paying for. If a brand cannot provide a verifiable, traceable data point to justify their price tag, put it back on the display. Your wardrobe is either a calculated investment in textile engineering or a recurring invoice for someone else's global advertising budget. Stop paying the invoice. Go to your closet right now. Pull out your Uniqlo garments and look at the interior tags. Drop a comment below with the specific piece you own, exactly how many times you have washed it, and how the fabric has held up over the years. Help the next man look past the budget label and find the textile goldmine he has been missing. Subscribe if you haven't. This channel follows the money, not the marketing.